Hi, everybody. It's Gene Simmons, and you're not, and you're listening to the Potter Than Hell podcast with Steve, BC, BB, and Dylan. But you knew that, didn't you?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is your last stop on the crazy train of hard rock and heavy metal. So sit back, buckle in, and hang on. Here we go.
Hello, Potter Than Hellions. Welcome back to the Potter Than Hell podcast. This is Steve, your host, and I am joined this week by
BB.
And your keyboard player tonight is me again. I don't know, Dylan's been slacking a lot off these days.
Boy, we better take him off the payroll. He's not going to be doing his job here.
I know. Although he does still do the editing, so that's the real heavy lifting. All I have to do is push a couple buttons here, but he's the one that makes the magic happen. So, BB, we are here in Nashville, August 11th, the night after the Rock N Pod Expo. We are recording this in room 320 at the Airport Marriott in Nashville, Tennessee, and we just came off an unbelievably kick-ass fucking weekend here. Overall, BB, what do you think?
Definitely, out of the 2 years that I've been here, this is definitely so far my favorite one. It has just been mind-blowing what a great show Chris Czynszak puts on, and the guys he gets. Just phenomenal action that happens between the artists, the other podcasts. Once again, there's going to be a million memories we're going to have about this expo this year, and it's just a great feeling to have people in the same room that pretty much listen to the same music and just create memories. It's a fantastic expo.
Yeah, we had a great time. We had absolutely zero problems with our travel down here. The only bad thing, unfortunately, I mentioned it before on the other show, was our late arrival. We didn't get here till probably in the hotel, probably by 7 o'clock, so we missed the mixer with all the other podcasters and everything. But it was just such a good time. We grabbed something to eat real quick. Steve and Michael and his lovely wife Jen and Sonny joined us in the bar while we were eating. We shot the shit for a little bit there. And then by the time we got done eating, the rock and roll residency had already started. So I think we only missed a couple songs. So we missed the first two bands. We missed the Lipstick Band. And I'm sorry, I know that's not the full name, but I can't think of what the hell it is right at this moment. And we missed 8 Ball. But, kudos to those guys. I heard they put on a good show. So it was just really cool. We got their rock and roll residency. BB, how fucking awesome were these guys?
It's one of those things that you watch these guys play, and it's so effortless, and they make it look like it's so much fun. Like you want to be up there with them. You're out in the crowd rocking, but just imagine like being on the stage with those guys. They are spot on professionals, and let me tell you, they are 3 of the funniest sons of bitches you will ever meet. Down to earth, fantastic people. They treat you like they're your best friend.
Yeah, they were cool, and they put on a hell of a show. They are all top-notch musicians, great personality, and like you said, these guys gel so good on stage. And I was talking about it today with BB here, and I said, I wonder how many songs these guys actually know. I've seen them play probably, I think 3 or 4 times, and they've had to play probably 30 different songs in just the times that I've seen them. They had some guests come up with them. Michael Sweet came up with them, and he did Van Halen, he did Ain't Talking About Love, and then they did Soldiers Under Command, which was fucking awesome. And Tony Harnell came up with them. He sang Good Times, Bad Times from Led Zeppelin. He sang Can't Get Enough of Your Love from Bad Company. And that dude still got fucking pipes, just like amazing. Well, Michael Sweet and Tony Harnell, both just kick ass, and we'll get into Michael Sweet a little more later on. And Brian Damage Forsyth from Kicks, he caught up and he played Can't Get Enough of Your Love and Ooh That Smell. He got up and played with them, and he's such a cool guy. Like, he could step right out on stage with the Stones, don't you think?
Yeah, the persona that comes off of that guy is just like 70s, late 60s, early 70s, like coolness. And I had a brief conversation with him outside the venue yesterday, and another down-to-earth guy. We talked about M3 that we go to every year, and how they just love opening that up. That's almost like their big brother when they play, and just a great guy.
Yeah, M3, that's their home turf. That's
sure.
their home show there. And super nice guy. I talked to him a little bit, actually, at the signing table. How it actually worked with... we'll get into the interviews later, but I talked to him on Saturday, signed all my stuff. Super, super nice guy. They did Hellraisers and Beer Drinkers, which is a great song, and actually that was a song that BB, you picked.
True.
On our 70s songs episode.
Songs, yeah.
And these guys killed it. But this young guy, his name is Gary Dover Jr., got up and played lead guitar on this. This guy fucking tore it up. My jaw was on the floor. Like, holy shit. So check this guy out, Gary Dover Jr. And I don't even really know much about him, but I found out what his name was, and I talked to him a little bit after the show. And I just told him how impressed I was with his playing. Who the fuck am I? But he just blew me away. The solo he played in that song was just totally kick-ass.
Yeah, but those residency guys, like they still, like you said, how they played all these different songs. What really impressed me, like they knew like old 70s songs. And then like the next night, like they're tearing it up like with heavy metal 80 songs, and it's just like their category, their catalog of music, there has to be
chops are just fucking great. And they played one of my favorite songs of all time, Pat Travers, drinking whiskey or snorting whiskey and drinking cocaine. Fucking great song. Absolutely, I went out of my mind when they played that. They played Free for All from Ted and a bunch of other stuff. That it was such a whirlwind and just such an amazing show that it was just crazy to watch, and it was a great way to end the night musically there after that, and it was really, really cool. And so then after that, we got to hang with our buds down here. We actually bunked out with David and Chris from Digital Kill, the Radio Star podcast. Two awesome guys. All these guys, they're like our other brothers from other mothers. Sonny and Steven, we hung out with them while we were eating, and then we hung out with them in the lobby afterwards. Bill and Dennis and Alan from Ages of Rock podcast. Matt Porter and his brother Anthony from the Kiss Room. Julian Gill was there. And actually, BB, I talked to Brian Davis from the Damn Good Movie Memories podcast. Super nice guy. Talked to him for a little bit. Real nice guy. Just great. And Pete Cicery and Vinny was here, but he was invisible. He was wearing the same suit on that he had when he took that picture with Sonny.
Right. And it's funny. I thought I actually saw Vinny another time in the bathroom. I thought he was standing next to me, but I
turned around, he was probably gone.
Turned around and he was gone. So
yeah, he's
one of these days
he's slick. He's slick. He's absolutely slick. And we hung out till God. I think actually by the time we left the lobby, it was after 2 because we had last call at the bar, and then we hung out a little while longer after that. Then we came up to the room, shot the shit for I don't know another 2 hours. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, we got to bed,
right.
And then we were up, bright and early, showered. Had a good breakfast at the hotel. Then we were able to set up our stuff down in the ballroom where they had the show the night before. They had all the tables set up, and David and BB got us set up down there. I brought our gear down so we can record, and they had all kinds of cool vinyl vendors there. They had this guy had a massive fucking table of Kiss stuff. He had probably 6 or 8 boxes of just Kiss albums, different versions of each album, and he had it from like the beginning to the end. Joe Polo, you son of a bitch, he scored a Kiss Originals 2 for a bang up price. It had the masks and everything in it, so congratulations, Joe, on that find, you son of a bitch, because I was looking for that too. And but it was just like a ton of stuff. And it was laid out great. Chris and Aaron, they put a lot of thought into how this was going to take place, and we just had a really good setup.
Yeah, that was a nice setup they had. Like you said, there was probably about 5 or 6 guys with vinyl. Steve and I both picked up some stuff to add to our collection, as we always do. And I was really impressed with that Kiss collector. There were some things that I've never seen. And just going through all the albums, just even what they look like compared to like the German imports, compared to the Japanese imports, how and I think it's I know the German ones, they have the S's sideways to look more like Z's. And I think it's like the Russian imports, they really don't have a cover. It's almost like they printed the vinyl cover. And it's really, really thin.
Really?
But other than that, like there was so much cool shit those vendors had. It was, great time. I probably could have picked up another 10 records, but
Oh, easily. There were a couple that I picked up and put down, and I'm like, you know what?
Maybe I'll come back to it.
Gotta go easy because we have to transport them home.
Yeah.
Which is going to be tough to begin with for whatever we bought already. And once the Rock N Pod got going and the people were starting to come in, they had a bunch of panel discussions. The first one was all about the bass. They had Jack Gibson from Exodus. They had John Billings from the Monkees. They had Jay McDowell from BR 549. If anyone knows, that's a Hee Haw reference, which is a great show. And moderated by Ken Mills, the Podfather. It was really cool to hear these guys talk about how underrated sometimes bass players are, but they really kind of said that the guys that you don't notice, they're the guys that they hold down the foundation of the bands, and it was really cool, and they had a bunch of cool stories. The other panels they had a business music panel with Jason Bieler from Saigon Kick, Toby Wright, the producer, Drew Fortier, Zen from Mars. He was moderated by Tom Hazard and David Ellefson. He was one of the main guests from, of course, bass player from Megadeth. They had a gear and instrumentation panel with Jack Gibson from Exodus, Brian Damage Forsyth from Kicks, and Kenny Olsen, Kid Rock's guitar player, moderated again by David Ellefson and Tom Hazard. And they did Albums Unleashed with Aaron and Chris. They did Striper, Soldiers Under Command with Michael Sweet. I mean, how much cooler can you get than that? Very cool. They had a cosplay contest going on. There were some cool costumes. There was an Ace and a Gene there, and there were a couple other ones that were really cool. There was a Dylan's favorite. There was a Kid Rock impersonator there. And we thought he was for a little bit. I was kind of looking around to see if I had BB pulling up his tattoos online and seeing if they were the same ones the dude had. But alas, it wasn't. Roxy Blue got up. They played a small acoustic set, which was friggin' excellent. And then they did the final panel they did was from fan to band with the guys from the Rock and Roll Residency, Ryan Spencer Cook, Phil Souse, and Jeremy Asbrock. Just really cool. And I can't wait to hear all these. I was actually able to sit in and listen to the All About the Bass one, but with the interviews and stuff that BB and I had, we didn't really get a chance to listen to all these panels, and you will probably hear some of these panels in the background of some of the interviews we have because we were interviewing in the same room that these were going on. So it was a loud environment. I haven't had a chance to listen to the interviews yet. The interviews we did Michael Sweet from Striper. He was our first interview. Excellent guy. Super sweet guy. No pun intended. Uh-huh. We did Jack Gibson from Exodus. We did the guys from the Rock and Roll Residency. We did the guys from Roxy Blue. And BB did the interview with Anthony Corder from Tora Tora.
Yeah, once again, these guys that we interviewed, they're so humble, they're so nice. They answered any of our questions we had. We got a couple contact informations from these guys. Like, they're just giving out information to us like we're their best friend. So hopefully down the road, we're going to actually sit a couple of these guys down, get a great interview with some great recordings, and ask them the questions that we really couldn't ask them because we could have sat with each of those guys for at least an hour. But we only had 15 minutes. So by the time you get a picture, you talk to them, give us a little bumper. So you're talking 11, 12 minutes, and, they have a schedule they have to stick to. So, we get our shit done, boom, thank you, pictures, doom, and they're gone. But they were so great. It's just, and it just blows my mind, just talking to Michael Sweet when he was on pictures on my wall. You know what I mean? And then even with the guys from Roxy Blue and Anthony Corder from Tora Tora, on my wall, cut out of Circus magazine, 30 years later, and I'm sitting here talking to them. mind-blowing.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I took a bunch of stuff down to get signed. I had an Exodus album. I brought down a bunch of CD covers to get signed, and I have an original pressing of the To Hell with the Devil from Stryper. Michael signed that. I mean, every single thing that I brought down, was able to get signed. It was great. Let me just run down the guests that were there real quick before we go any further. I know we mentioned some of them before, but I'm going to run through them just to make sure we didn't miss anybody. Brian Damage Forsyth from Kix, Michael Sweet, David Ellison, bass player from Megadeth, awesome guy. Tony Harnell from TNT, unbelievable pipes on this guy. He can still fucking bring it. Jason Bieler from Saigon Kick. Really cool guy. He's a crazy guy. He's fucking excellent though. Kenny Olson, Jack Gibson, like I said before, from Exodus. Eerie Von from the Danzig band. I think he's from Danzig, right?
Yeah, I think he is. Yes.
Gary Corbett. He was a keyboard player for Kiss when they had a keyboard player out on thing. And Anthony Corder from Tora Tora. Toby Wright, the producer, no relation. Stephen Todd Barnett. I'm not sure who he is. Rick Rule from Every Mother's Nightmare that we've had on the podcast before. Tom Hazard that we talked about a little bit before. John Billings. We also had the guys from Wildside there. Donovan White, Jay McDowell, Ricky Dover Jr. that we talked about before. Andre LaBelle, Jeremy Barber. The guys from 8 Ball were there all day. The Rock and Roll Residency. A band called Kato. And Drew Fortier. But it was just such a good mix of everybody. And how we ended up getting the interviews was Chris Sinzak put out a list of who the interview people were going to be, and you had to put your name in for it, your podcast name in for it, and then they picked. I'm not sure how we picked, but like it was spread out pretty good. We put in for 7, we got 5 of them, which I was surprised we got 5 of them. We got I put in for the what I call the big 3. David Ellison, Michael Sweet, and Brian Damage Forsyth from Kix. So we got Michael Sweet out of the deal, and all the other ones we got were fantastic. We did not feel gypped or anything like that. It was cool. I got to talk to David Ellison a little bit. He was cool, and I went up to the other tables, talked to the guys in Roxy Blue, talked to Brian Damage Forsyth, and actually I talked to Jack Gibson from Exodus for probably half an hour. So before we did our interview. So and I got his information, and hopefully we'll get him on for a more in-depth interview, get into some more Exodus, baby, and like super nice guy. There wasn't anybody that was a dick or like standoffish or just gave yes or no answers. We're gonna post the interviews that we did coming up within a couple weeks or 2. I think we're gonna release maybe 2 interviews at a time. But I mean, just a great time there.
Yeah, that definitely what Jack Gibson did. What you were like there was a time like, where's Steve? And then I see he's over talking to Jack, and I do a couple things, and maybe 10-15 minutes go by, and you're still talking to him. So that's just a testament of what these guys are there to talk to the fans. Take their time with you, bullshit, sign anything you wanted. Humble. Like I said, humble, down to earth guys. This was just a great time, and can't wait for next year.
Yeah, we had a great time, and they had once all of the podcast expo itself was over, they did a podcaster jam in one of the other rooms. We didn't stay for that because we were absolutely starving. We figured we'd just head out, grab something for dinner. We went to dinner with Sonny Pooney, Stephen Michael, his lovely wife Jen, and myself and BB, and Steven, you are the shittiest Uber driver that I've ever fucking had.
Yeah, we're definitely giving you no stars.
Yeah, you're getting if you could give negative stars, I think we would do that.
5 negative stars for Stephen Michael, Uber driver.
And go fuck yourself.
And Steve still wants his pretzels.
That's right. Oh my God, we were pissing our pants laughing in the car. Oh my God, it was a story. So if you ever see us out there, just ask us what actually happened. It was great. They're great guys. And God love Jen. Oh my God. I mean, I'm sure people say that to my wife about me because I'm just as insane. And so we missed the podcast jam. I guess it was really cool. I talked to Pete Cicery. He said they had a really good time. Julian Gill said they had a good time. So, kind of sorry we missed it, but we seriously needed to get something to eat. And so we came back. and David Ellefson was doing his bass story show, kind of like a storyteller's kind of thing, where he would play some songs. Like we missed him play. He played some deep tracks from Megadeth, but by the time we got back, we had missed them. So he ended up and he had probably, how many people do you think he had come up and play with him all together, BB?
Probably a total. I would say, I'm going to say at least 20 people, because at the end they come out and everybody was on stage, and there were quite a few people. There had to be at least 20 people that played, because there were a couple songs that actually David and only the drummer stayed, and then everybody else left, and then they come back with like 2 guitar players and a bass player. So they were rotating left and right. There was even a couple times the drummer rotated out. So there was a good 20 people at least.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the bass was fucking jacked up. It sounded so great. And one thing that I really, really liked about it was, if you've ever seen Megadeth before, they're very, and I know I've mentioned this before, but they're a very symmetrical band. You'll have a guy in the middle, you'll have a guy on the right, and a guy on the left, and they'll switch spots, but you rarely see these guys jam with one another. And I've seen Megadeth a number of times, and that was one thing that always bothered me. They they're like the total opposite of like the guys from the Rock and Roll Residency. Like, they're rocking with one another like the whole show. But like Megadeth, you don't get that. I'm not saying it's takes away, but I would rather see guys look like they're up there having fun together rather than just having your own little space on the stage. But last night, with David Ellefson doing that, he was jamming with everybody. He'd come over to the side that we were at, rock with who was ever over there. He'd be up on the drum riser rocking out, and then they would be doing kind of like a stage move kind of shuffle and stuff like that. He interacted with everybody that was up on the stage with him. And he had Jason Bieler came up and did a couple of songs with him. Jeremy and Phil from the Rock and Roll Residency, they got up. They did a version of the Trooper that was fucking amazing. Phil and Jeremy absolutely killed the solos on that.
Yeah, and then Steve and I have talked about this off recording, and there was this guy who came up. He had camouflage overall shorts, a red shirt, Chuck Taylors, and he just did not look like he fit at all. But the sound that came out of his mouth was spot on Bruce Dickinson to a T. He killed that vocal performance.
He did. He really brought it. And probably within another week or so, I'm going to put out a special episode with hopefully myself, BC, and Chris Granza. We're going to do a little concert review episode, and we're going to review the Dead Girls Academy show that Chris and I went to, the Iron Maiden show that Chris and I went to, and then the Slash show that BC and I went to. That's going to be coming your way. And the reason I mention that is because I had a problem when we went to see Iron Maiden in Philadelphia, and I'll get into that later. But when they did the Trooper last night at this Ellefson thing, it was so awesome. I wanted to fucking cry because and once you listen to the other episode, you'll know why. And it was just absolutely amazing. And Tony Harnell got up, he sang a song with them. That dude can still sing. I mean, just fucking amazing.
Yeah, I think for me, he was the biggest surprise. Because, TNT, they were just one of those bands that were kind of around, and then I haven't remembered them until I saw the list of people there. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember that band now. But, man, another one.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
It's not like I didn't expect them to suck, but like it was one of them like, wow, like you were just kind of like, holy shit, why isn't this guy like in a major band, out there touring, just absolutely friggin' amazing. And actually, when Ellefson was playing, there were a lot of young people up on that stage. They had this young lady playing drums for, I think, 2 songs. I forget what song she played, but she was great. She was a really, really pretty young lady, probably 17 or 18 years old, and she tore it up. And I saw her in the crowd after the show, and I went up and I said, I just want to tell you, I said, you were excellent up there. And she's like, oh my God, that's so nice. Really nice girl, kick-ass drummer, absolutely kick-ass drummer. And the drummer the drummer that played the Trooper, I talked to him afterwards, and he was a monster on drums, just beating the fuck out of the drums, just friggin' excellent.
And those two kids who played guitar,
yeah,
with that girl playing the drums, they must have been some kind of local.
Oh, they did Paranoid.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and
those two guys get little guitar, and like you said, they're probably no more than 16, 17, if that, and they were really, really good.
Yeah. And when they did the solo for Paranoid, they both did the solo together, and it was spot on. It was like, I don't know if they, if they're in the same band, because like he would say who they were, but like you couldn't really hear, or like it wasn't anybody that you recognized, but they were really good. And then after they did all the covers, then he's like, okay, now you're gonna hear some songs that you recognize, and Symphony of Destruction they did, which was friggin' great. They did the last song they did was Peace Sells.
Yep.
Who's Dying? Who's
buying? Yeah.
And when they did that, the end of Peace Sells, every single person that played at that show got up on the stage. It was like a friggin' mob scene up there. It was fantastic. And Dave just kind of stood back and let everybody sing. It was just an absolute amazing show. It was a highlight of the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. And even when you see David playing, and I've seen Megadeth a couple of times, and those guys are usually pretty much stone-faced. David's playing, like you said, interactive. He's smiling from ear to ear. He's just having a great time with this. And maybe down the road he'll be somewhere in Northeast Pennsylvania. We can catch the actual full show to see what he actually does. Because I'm sure with these guys down here from Nashville, he's just throwing everybody.
He has more of an opportunity of more talent to pick from.
Right. And I would have loved to actually seen the deep tracks of Megadeth and just see what he's bringing out of the catalog.
Out there. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was cool. And then once the show was over, should I tell the story?
You could.
Okay.
You could.
Okay. The show gets over, so everyone's bullshitting in the concert hall for a little while. So of course, we were having some cocktails throughout the whole evening, and so of course, eventually you're going to have to use the restroom.
Yes.
So there's probably 6 urinals in there. So you're there, and no one's really talking, and you can hear some noises. And Chris Craig is in there, and he says something to me, and my hearing is terrible, especially after just coming from the show. And I'm like, what? And he says, first stall. And I'm like, what? And right when he says that, this guy comes out of the one stall with this outlandish shirt on, and I'm thinking, why is he showing me this shirt? I'm like, I don't care, And then I get done, I wash my hands, and I leave, and I'm out in the lobby, and I'm like, why are you showing me that guy? He goes, what guy? I said, weren't you showing me the guy that come out of the stall? He goes, no. He said, there were two people having sex in the first stall of the bathroom. And I'm like, and I totally missed it. And everybody was coming on, oh my God, there's people having sex in the bathroom. And I'm like, really? Like, you're at a hotel. Get a fucking room. Jesus Christ. So that was like a really crazy, one of those things that happened that was just crazy. I don't know. Dylan will probably edit this out, so you may not even hear it out there. If you do, it was pretty funny. And then, so we just hung out for a while after that, had some more beers. And then, Sonny Pooney, the most insane person that I know that has all kinds of crazy things going on in his mind, we recorded an episode for Podcast Rock City. So I won't say what it is. Well, I can't because it's on Facebook.
Was it? Okay.
We did a Kiss song draft. There were 10 teams, right? 10 teams? 9 teams. And you had to pick a song from each Kiss album. But in my usual fashion, I was not really listening to the directions. So you're only supposed to pick one song from each album. And I had 3 different albums that I picked 2 songs off of. So I got penalized a couple picks, and they took a couple picks off me. So it ended up okay in the end. And it was great. And it was a bunch of people that we were, some of them people we knew, some of them were just, people that came to the expo just to hang out and stuff like that. And it was fun.
Yeah, it was a really good time. And it was funny, there were these two younger kids, probably no more than 17, 18 years old again. And they're just picking the most obscure, raunchy Kiss songs that were out there. It was funny what they were doing, and every time their pick came up, I was like, now what are they going to pick? What are they going to pick?
Yeah.
So
they were
really
nice.
Cool.
They were
that was
cool
something
young
I
guys.
never expected and never thought of.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I can't wait till that episode comes out because it's going to be cool. And I'm not sure how, it's going to go beyond that. Like if they're going to do something like a vote on, someone's playlist or something, with your team, whatever it is. But it was just a really cool idea. We had a great time doing it, and and Sonny, he actually brought a banner that he unrolled. Like if you're a fantasy football person out there, if you've already seen anybody do a live draft, he had all the songs printed out on little tabs, and he was going through them every time someone picked a song. He put it under their name, and it was he really put a lot of work and a lot of thought into it, and it was very, very cool, and I really can't wait till that comes out.
Yeah, so hopefully with something like that we just did, now you will be ready to do your fantasy football draft.
I will, and you know what? And as if you check out that podcast and you see my roster of songs, you're gonna know just from that how terrible I am at fantasy football. Also, I suck at that. I'm terrible.
I can't pick a good Kiss song, and I can't pick a good football player.
Yeah. But it was a good time, and I want to give a special shout out to anybody that stopped to see us and shoot the shit at our table at the Rock N Pod Expo. Guys like David Cathy that are faithful listeners, Bill Elam, these guys are always sharing our stuff and commenting on our stuff. But I want to give a special shout out to Jay Sabluski. He has been a faithful listener from like day one, and the reason I'm giving him this special shout out is he's from St. Louis, and he's a massive St. Louis Blues fan. And when he found out that Dylan was a St. Louis Blues fan, he was like, holy crap, and what he did was he brought Dylan a St. Louis Blues championship shirt and a St. Louis Blues Bud Light bottle with the St. Louis Blues logo on it. So Jay, that was super nice of you. Really appreciate it. Dylan's going to be getting in contact with you to thank you, and it was just really super nice of you. And everyone else that stopped, thank you. Hope you enjoyed the new koozies that we put out, and took a card and give us some love, give us some shares out there. Interact with us more. We absolutely love it.
Yeah, that's definitely a dedication that it shows like our fans just come out and just going out of his way to bring them for Dylan was just great. And it's like this extended family we have here that people out there will probably not understand. And we talk with these guys where we get on their podcast, we kind of text back and forth, but when you're in person and you're shooting the shit, it's so much different and it's so much better. And this extended family of mine has just been amazing this weekend, and it's just a great way for everybody to come together, talk about some podcasts, talk about some kick-ass music, shoot the shit, makes fun of Steve and Michael a little bit, and just have a really, really good time.
Yeah, it's just fantastic, and it keeps getting better every year. Like the first year, BC and I, we just kind of took a ride. We took a 13-hour ride just to see what the fuck was going on, each way. And we got there, and that's how we hooked up with Sonny, we hooked up with Chris and David, and Steven and all those guys, and we've been great friends with these guys ever since. And we went last year. We had our own table last year. Got a little bigger, got a little more interaction this year. It was like way bigger, like super organized. Chris and Aaron had a staff there that were handling the rock people, making sure they were on time for interviews and make sure they got to the next one on time, and everybody got their fair share of time with these guys, which was fantastic. And and we actually, I was keeping track of our time, and and you would kind of start to wind it down when you had like 1 or 2 minutes, because you didn't want to screw the next guy out of getting their time.
Right, because those guys have the state of their schedule, and you didn't want to be the guy that puts him 5 minutes behind, because then he's 5 minutes late down the line,
and it just snowballs down.
And then you're the bad guy. Well, he was at he was at that podcast for 20 minutes. It's their fault. So, you know, they did a really, really good job because that was the first year I actually had something like that. So they kept everybody, you know, full circle, nice and tight to the schedule, and it flowed very well.
Yeah, it was great, and one of the coolest things was like towards the end of the night, we're just kind of hanging, and everybody was kind of winding down, getting ready to go to bed, and I said to the guys, I said, let's get a picture with everybody before we all depart here. And David Ellefson just happened to be walking out at the time, and we were all getting up, and I'm like, hey David, would you? And these guys thought I was going to ask David Ellefson to take our picture, and like we were all laughing about it. So David Ellefson, he goes, I got one more picture of me, guys. So it was myself, BB, Sonny, Steven, and Peter Cesare, and we got a great picture with David Ellefson in the lobby, and that was like just the cherry on the sundae, the final thing of the night down in the lobby, and then we came back to the room and drank some more beers, and then we ordered pizza like 2:00 in the morning. So we were up till like probably almost 4, I want to say.
Another one, yeah.
So it was another. It's been a long weekend here. We had a great time. Saw a lot of great music. Met a lot of great people. Met some of our, like BB said, like guys that you've had on your walls and stuff, and guys from bands that you listen to and you never thought a million years you'd be sitting down and just talking with, and one of these guys gives you their cell number to call them to get them on another show. It's just absolutely fucking mind-blowing.
Yeah, what's always one of my favorites is the nighttime bullshitting session that we have down in the lobby, and we've said this a couple of times that last year was so great, and this year was just the same. Every couple other people from other podcasts kind of came in and sat down for a little bit, but it was always the core 5-6 of us that just bullshitted all night long.
Yep.
And just a great get together.
Yeah, and the only thing that was extremely disappointing about this year's Rock N Pod Expo is that Dylan and BC weren't with us.
Yes.
We would. I hate even saying it. I don't even want to even make them feel bad by saying it. But everybody was asking about them, those guys, and they were missed. They really were. And we had an awesome time here. And this is not the only thing we're talking about on the show tonight. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a quick break. Then we're going to come back. We're going to do a hidden gem. Then we're going to do another little down and dirty episode little kind of thing here. All right? So we will be right back. Okay, people, we're back. We're going to do a little gem. This week's is not going to be hidden at all for either one of us. But since we are recording on August 11th, we are going to, I'm going to do a Warrant album. It's the anniversary of Janie Lane's passing, so I figure I'm going to throw an extremely underrated Warrant album out there. And if you guys have not checked this out, if you're just like a cherry pie guy or dirty, rotten, filthy, stinking rich person, or likes that album, you can absolutely check this album out because it's great. It's super underrated. Dog Eat Dog from 1992. It opens up with probably my favorite and probably one of the heaviest Warrant songs ever, Machine Gun. Fucking phenomenal. I mean, it is and it's one that I really wish I thought of when we did like an album opening songs episode, because this song is just a fucking monster song. That, Hole in the Wall, songs like Bonfire, The Bitter Pill, Quicksand, Let It Rain, Inside Out. Just a great, super underrated Warrant album. So get out there and check that out. Are you familiar with any of the stuff on there?
I am. That's a great album. And it's in, like you said, it's one of those albums that if you're a Warrant fan, that may be in that little window when a couple people kind of jump ship for Warrant. But that's a really, really good underrated album. Probably the most underrated Warrant album out. Yeah, that's a great pick.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's nice to hear someone say that mine is a good pick for a change. All right, so BB, what do you got for us?
This week I'm going to pull the new album from Roxy Blue out. Steve and I listened to this on the way to the airport, and then I checked it out this morning walking around outside the hotel. And then we talked to the guys from Roxy Blue, and fantastic album. Back to their roots. I know there are a couple songs, Silver Linings, Rockstar Junkie, and Screamer already have been released, but Friday the full album was released. Fantastic album. Another couple good songs on there is Collide and the closer Overdrive. Really, really good song. So, new music, people. Go check out some new music from the Roxy Blue.
Absolutely, and we talked when our interview comes out. We talked about the new album with those guys, and it's phenomenal. You know what? They put out Roxy Blue Wants Some in 1991. It came out, and this is like their first really official release since then. There's been a couple of things that have been put out since then, like in the maybe 5 or 6 years ago. That was from back then, but just a great album. Like rockin', just like some kind of I wouldn't say grungy, just like gritty, gritty songs.
It's Tennessee gritty.
Yeah, and like songs like Scream, I absolutely love that song. It's freaking excellent. So check that out. Support these guys. Get online, order it. We were able to pick up a couple copies of it at the expo. They had a couple for sale. We got them signed, and just a great album. So check out the new Roxy Blue album, self-titled. Really, really cool album. It's just excellent. Just great, straightforward, gritty rock and roll. And check out the Warrant album, Dog Eat Dog, from those guys. Just a great, super, super underrated album. And now that the gyms are done, we're going to do a little bit. I figured we were going to do a wrap-up episode when we were down here because we planned on recording something, so we didn't have to jump right back into recording as soon as we got back from Nashville because we had the extra night here. So I figured we might as well record. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over this band only had 2 albums out ever, and we're going to hear what we think about them. And that's the band called Rough Cutt. Great band, came out in the mid-'80s. I was fortunate to get to see these guys twice live, and as we go along, I'll elaborate on that as we go. BB, Rough Cutt, self-titled, came out November 30th, 1985. Tom Allen, who is of Judas Priest fame, was the producer on this. It's 42 minutes and 17 seconds. What's your let's get BB's thoughts on this album?
Yeah, if I can remember correctly, I did not hear this album until probably one of the first Kiss expos that we went to.
Really?
I think you had, it may have been maybe like Black Widow or something on a mixed CD that we had in the car driving down. In what was always great when we would travel with myself and Steve and BC would be always be like, BB, who's this? They were like my 2 professors. BB, who's this? And the one time, Rough Cutt, and never had a clue, never heard of them, never crossed my radar in the late 80s. I did not know anybody who had this album, but ever since, it was probably, I'm going to say it's like the expo, around 93-ish. One of the first ones that we went to the one in Jersey.
Right. It was way before
college.
Any kind of streaming or anything.
Right.
I was at Fairleigh Dickinson.
Yes.
Was in was it Secaucus? No, it wasn't Secaucus. Anyway.
But yeah, that's where I got my first taste of Rough Cutt. And I think when we were either there or when I went home, I was able to find it on CD. So that's my introduction to Rough Cutt. But great album. Musically, vocally, fantastic. So what do you want to do? You want to do a little track by track?
Yeah, we can go over the songs, absolutely. Yeah.
Sure, all right.
And I first became aware of Rough Cutt through it had to be in one of the magazines like Circus or Hit Parade or something like that. I saw them, and they Wendy Dio, Ronnie's wife, was their manager, so there was a good push for Rough Cutt from Dio, and we got to see them on their very first tour. They were touring with Crocus during the Blitz tour, and Accept was the first. It was Rough Cutt, then Accept, then Crocus, and it was great because they came out. They were leather and denim and leather, just like a band getting out there ready to rock. And when you hear Paul Sorrentino sing for the first time, you're like, holy shit, does this guy have pipes? fucking absolutely amazing. And they were great live. I really enjoyed the show. I mean, of course, they were like the first opening band of a 3-band thing, so they only played for probably 25 minutes. So they probably only played half the first half of the album. But what they played was great. And I just remember how some of the songs had like such a good groove to them, and they gelled really well. They sounded great, and I really enjoyed it. And let's do some songs here, BB. Take Her, for me, like a really cool opening track. I love the kick in. It's got a great groove. Definitely showcases Paul Shortino's vocals right off the bat. And it was like, when you first heard this, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, holy shit. And a lot of people's introduction to Paul Shortino was on the Stars, We're Stars song that Ronnie James Dio and Vivian Campbell and Jimmy Bain put out for the, when it was all the We Are the World kind of shit going on. And this was pretty much the metal version of it. And I forget who I was talking to, and that was their first introduction to Paul Shortino. Like, who the fuck is this guy? He's there singing, he's got the hat on, and just like totally kills it. And then, and stuff like that it'll get your name out there, because there's a lot of big names of metal at the time on that album. The chorus is great, and the solos in it are ripping, and it's a great start to this album.
Yeah, definitely a great opener. I believe this song was actually co-written by Ronnie James Dio, and what really grabbed me was at the end of the song, they do like this little guitar run, and it's so familiar, and I don't know if it's from like a TV show or a movie, or because when I heard it, when I was reviewing this, I'm like, I gotta remember to find out where that song is, or ask somebody, and I totally missed it, because trying to get all this shit together to come down here. So later on, after we record, we're gonna have to listen to the end of that song, and maybe
I think I know the part you mean, and I'm trying
right at the
to
end, and I can't, and it just escapes me.
Okay, we'll definitely check it out. Well, let's do like
we'll do a couple
songs. Yeah, we'll do. I'll close out side one. We'll do side one, then we'll do side two. Okay. So we're not like
going back
droning on like idiots
sure.
here. "Piece of My Heart." It's actually an Emma Franklin cover song, made famous by Janis Joplin, of course. It's an okay version. I'm not really crazy about the song. It's got a decent melodic solo in it. "Never Gonna Die." I really like how this one starts. I love the kick in on it. It's actually a Choir Boys cover song. So you got two covers in a row, but like "Piece of My Heart," like everyone kind of knew, but I didn't know that this was a cover song until I started researching for this, looking into the songs, like who wrote them and stuff. I'm not a big crazy fan about this one. The vocals are great though. Very, very heartfelt vocals on this one, and the solo's pretty melodic on it. "Dreamin' Again," one of my favorites on here. It's got like a soft kind of mysterious start to it. Kicks in it kicks in for the chorus. Then there's a great like harder part in the song where it like really ramps back up, and then it goes back to the soft part. It's kind of one of those up and down kind of songs that we love on this podcast. Solos are great. There's like a grindage during the last verse of the song, like really fucking heavy. "Cut Your Heart Out," another one of my favorite songs on there, just a hard rocker. I like it. Both guitar players just do an absolute burning, scorching, as Sonny Pooney would say, bananas solo on this song. And I love the background vocals on this song.
All right, yeah, definitely. It's a really great side. So we already did a little bit about "Take Her." "Piece of My Heart." You didn't like it. I kind of enjoyed it, because they almost made it their own. They didn't go note for note to make it sound like Janis's song. They turned it around and made it Rough Cutt song, and that's what I really thought was really, really cool. I'm also on the same page you would. "Never Gonna Die." It's all right. It's probably my least favorite on this side, but it picks up "Dreaming Again," co-written by Wendy Dio. It almost starts, like you said, it's mysterious. I have it written down into like a World Without Heroes opening in a way. And
no, it's good.
Oh. but it kicks in right in the chorus is amazing. The vocal range that these guys show are just fantastic. Not only are they making good music with their instruments, but vocally they're really, really tight. And Cut Your Heart Out, I love that it's so heavy. It's one of the heavier, definitely the heavier one on the side, and that was probably for me, that's probably my favorite one on off this album.
Yeah, definitely the most up-tempo song on it so far. Cut Your Heart Out, definitely. And all right, side 2, Black Widow. Very like another song that has like a very spooky kind of vibe to it in the beginning. The vocals on this song are so fucking powerful on this song. Just absolutely like breathtaking vocals on it. You're like, holy shit, can this guy fucking sing? Really cool. I love it. Massive pipes on this song. You Keep Breaking My Heart. Another like kind of spooky kind of start to a little atmospheric, and then it gets into a good groove. Once it kicks in, the vocals are amazing. The soloing, the duo soloing is fucking fantastic on it. Listen to the scream after the solos on this song. Oh my God. It rivals the scream, Bruce Dickinson's scream at the beginning of Number of the Beast. It is just fucking amazing. Just like how the windows did not blow out in the studio is just like fucking beyond me. Just absolutely kick ass. The Kids Will Rock's got a cool start. Kind of understated vocals on this one. On this song, he kind of backs it off a little bit. It's a great fit for the song, though. The gang vocals are excellent, and I love the guitar under the second verse. It's really cool. The solo's great, and it's not a long solo, but it's like totally fits the song. And there's like a hoo 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 hoo, like a laughing in there that's kind of like a cool little thing in there. And I love how it ends. The Kids Will Rock, but it's just them singing. It's not, you don't get a hard ending or anything like that. You just get that vocal part at the end, and it sounds like kids singing. Just really cool. Dressed to Kill. Absolutely love this one. I love the pipes in this song. Just another one. Just definitely a running theme through this album. The lead work is great in it. The scream before the fucking solos kick ass. I love the part after the solo, and like there's some of these songs have some good movements in it, like different time changes and stuff. Nothing crazy, but just little nuances in the songs that I really like. She's Too Hot. It's okay. The solos, as Sonny's point, was like meh. However, the outro solo is fantastic in this one. Decent album ender. I don't know what else I could throw in there for an ending song. Maybe in the album with The Kids Will Rock. The Kids Will Rock. And then in the album, maybe switch those two songs around a little bit. But overall, I thought the album was great. The production was excellent on it. Tom Allom did not let us down on this one. The guitar work is great. The vocals are off the fucking chart. Great debut album. I love the production on this, like I said. And my only thing is, listening to this album, I wish I knew who played what solos in the songs. That's my only thing. But it's neither here nor there. But it's a fantastic debut album. I absolutely fucking love this album.
Yeah, Black Widow, great song to open up the second side. I thought it was very Dokken-ish. Like it's like a little bit deeper, but it has that Dokken feel to it. You Keep Breaking My Heart. This song I think is the highlight of the album for Paul Sorrentino's vocals. I think this is the best vocal range that he shows on this album. Fantastic. Kids Will Rock. I love the chorus verse in it, the way the whole band just gets together and they're ripping it up, and what a great harmony they have as a band as singers. Dressed to Kill, another great solo. It's just it just continues on and on. You keep saying the vocals are great, the guitar work is great, but that's the God honest truth, and that's another one of those songs that showcases Paul's vocals. And then She's Too Hot, I think is a really good closer. I really do, because right at the end, like when they're going out, it almost like you're like at a show, like they're going, and it just stops and boom, you're done. I'm like, well, that was cool.
Yeah, because it was like dun dun dun, right?
Then it's boom, and it's done.
All right, I'm gonna have to listen to the very end of that again.
All right, so that's a little homework for after this. So we have to listen to the end of Take Her and the end of.
Okay, all right, we'll definitely do that because we have nothing but time here, time and beer left, so we're gonna be good on that. And year later, 1986, second album comes out, Rough Cutt Wants You. Got to see them for this tour also, and talk about their look and feel live changed as much as the album did. They came out when they played live for this. They opened up for Dio on the Sacred Heart tour, and they were all glammed out. It was all like sparkly shit, and like Paul Sorrentino's hair was like all poofed out and stuff. I mean, they still brought it. Don't get me wrong, but the look had changed. Within a year, they had totally changed their look, which was a little disconcerting for me because I mean they were like I thought maybe one of the grittier bands out there, and then like they went like Poison look wise, which was really strange. Okay. So if you get a chance, I'm sure you can look, pull up like Google Images or something like that,
right.
And you could like probably get the promo picture for the first album, and then get one for them later. Totally glammed out. This album, it was produced by Jack Douglas of Aerosmith fame. Good producer. I'm not as crazy about the production on this album. I think it's a little like a drop down from the first one. We'll do the songs. I'll do the overall afterwards. Rockin' the USA, out of the gate rocker, definitely. And I like the rock in that in the chorus. And this album, this song starts off the album with some really weird guitar tones. I thought, just like strange, like that. Kind of like take your attention away from the song as it's going on. Like I found it distracting, the different kind of sounds that they tried on some of these songs. Bad Reputation. I think this out of all the songs on this album, Bad Reputation could have fit on the first album perfectly. I thought this was a really good one. The kick-in picks up the tempo. I love the pre-chorus and the chorus in it. And like I said, it's got that weird guitar thing again a little bit in that song. Don't Settle for Less, way too poppy and happy crappy for me. There's some grindage during the solo in the verse, but the solos are pretty good, pretty ripping, but it's too poppy for me, too happy crappy. Hot and Heavy. This is a weird song. The lead work is really good on it. But it's too convoluted. I think there's too much going on in this song. There's just, I don't know, it's got a good groove for the chorus. It's a really weird song. It's got that weird guitar tone again. There's bongos in this song. The solos, it's pretty good. It's just a really weird song. Take a Chance, another poppy song. Like, dudes, what the fuck are you doing to me here? It's got melodic guitar in it. I'm not a fan. The middle part is a waste of fucking time. I think it's probably one of their worst songs. I don't even know. Well, there's one song that I like even less than this, but this is my crappy rock song on this album. Side 1, BB, what's your thoughts here?
All right, well, you know what? I didn't like this one as much as the first one, so I wonder in their camp, like, where they kind of made the turn from, the first album, front to back, kick-ass solos, vocals are spot on. There's none of that clunky, as we'll go over, like ballads that were, And what happened in that year? 85 was such a kick-ass year for them. Then 86, and and like you said, with their different look, are they, trying to get themselves out there? But Rockin' in the USA, I thought it was a really good opener, rocker from start to finish, and it was fast. It had that fast pickup in it, which I thought was really good because I thought this was the definitely the faster one for me on the album. Bad Reputation. Paul's vocals are so strong on this one, between the singing and the screaming. This like you said, this song could have been on there. So what I have written down definitely showcases that from his great vocals and plus the screaming that he does on that song. Don't Settle for Less. I thought the solo and the solo harmonies were really, really good, but possibly this is the song they're trying to get on the radio. You said it was like the poppy song.
Yeah,
you know,
I don't even know if they even had any singles released off of this album. I don't know.
I don't know if they're like stretching to, get out there.
Because I don't even know if I've ever heard a Rough Cutt song on the radio other than like a show like Metal Shop or something like that. I know I've heard like Take Her and stuff like that. A Piece of My Heart, I think I heard maybe once or twice on a show like that. But nothing like that was getting any airplay at all. So I don't even know if they released a single off of this album.
All right, Hot and Heavy. It has a weird groove, so I put down it has a rough groove. It's all right. The solo is really good in it, but it didn't do much for me. And Take a Chance, once again, another power ballad. The vocals are there, the riffs are there, the harmonies are there. Another stretch to possibly get a song on the radio written on this one. And like I said, it didn't thrill me like the first one did.
Right. And the thing for me about this album is, too, with Rockin' USA right off the bat, you're so hopeful now. You're like, and this is one thing that I can remember listening the first time to this album, because, I was intimately familiar with the first album by the time this one came out. Had seen them live for it, really dug them, really was into them. And then this album comes out, and the first song, I think I had it on cassette when I first bought it. And so I throw the cassette in, boom, I hit play, and like Rockin' USA, I'm like, oh, this album's gonna fucking kick ass. And then Bad Reputation was good too. And then it just went, and then I'm like, ugh, and then and So then I flip it over to side 2. And then a little hope comes back for We Like It Loud. I like the vocals in it. It's a mid-tempo rocker. Picks up some during the verses. The solo's pretty cool. It's not bad. It's not a favorite, but it brings back a little more hope after those 2 happy crappy songs on the first side. Double Trouble. It's a simple song, but it's cool. It's not too bad. And it's got the weird guitar tone is back again. And for the start of the solo, not too bad of a song. I don't hate it. It's still, you still got a little hope going on here. You Want to Be a Star. A little more up tempo, but it's got that poppy feel to it. I like the tempo in the verses though. There's only like a minor kind of melodic solo in it, which it's there's not a lot of substance to this song. It's like this song is this song and the next song, Let 'Em Talk. Another song that's not a strong song, and this song actually to me sounds downright fucking lazy. It sounds like it's just like some kind of crappy, easy riff that someone just pot up and they put some fucking vocals on it. The solo's really good though. That's the only saving grace. That's another song that like the solo actually is the only, but you have to sit through the whole fucking song to get to it, which kind of And then this song, The Night Cries Out For You. I'm sorry. Crappy ballad. It's very poorly placed on the album. You can't end the album with this. The solos are pretty soulful in it, which is a little saving grace for it. And if you listen to that song, there's one guitar harmony in there. The first couple notes are the same notes to 2 Tickets to Paradise from Eddie Money. Listen, and that's your homework for after the show, baby. You have to listen to that, and it's like, and all I can think of is 2 Tickets to Paradise when I hear that part. And like that part, it doesn't even fit the rest of the song, and it's a terrible, terrible way to end the album. And like overall, I'm not a huge fan of this album. This is an album that if I was doing a playlist, I would cherry pick a couple songs off of there. Like Rockin' USA, Bad Reputation. We Like It Loud would probably be the ones that I would pick off of this album as my favorites if I was going to do a playlist with these guys on it. It's got those weird guitar tones, and it doesn't feel like a cohesive album. It just feels like a bunch of I think this album sounds like what people say Hot in the Shade by Kiss sounds like, which I totally disagree. That it sounds like a bunch of demos thrown on a fucking thing and put out. Like I said, I'm not overly crazy with it, and I'm rather disappointed in the production of this album with Jack Douglas producing it. especially then for how great the first album sounded. And I don't know how that when they listened to this, the finished product of this, they could have been happy with the production on it. I'm sure that they were probably just told it's going out, whatever, because bands really didn't have much to say of what was going on with their careers at the time. So maybe it was just like, we just need to get something out there because you guys are starting to break, and this album broke them all right, but I don't think in the right direction.
Right. Definitely, we like it loud. That's the highlight of this side. Another great performance by Phil. Cool rocking song. Then Double Trouble, and You Want to Be a Star. Nothing special. They're not a great kick-ass song. They don't really catch you like you expect them to be. Let Them Talk. I've said this a couple times already, and this may be another stretch to get out on the radio. The solo's catchy, the harmonies are good, but it's just not one of those songs that you expect from them again. And The Night Cries Out, it has a relaxing groove to it and a powerful, soulful vocal in it, but it's not really anything to turn up the number 11, because it's just not. It wasn't a great closer. It wasn't a great side at all, and I have written down was not as good as the first one, and possibly rushed. So
it feels that way.
If these guys are out there with such a great kick-ass self-titled opening album, and they're supporting opening big concerts, when are they going to have time to get in the studio and produce some more kick-ass shit? So I think that they maybe needed to put a year or two between them. Let them tour, let them get their name out. Kick ass in opening shows, and then sit down, write some new material, continue the success you have from the first album to the second album. Not change your costumes, not change your hair. Don't go putting bedazzled glitter all over your clothes. Sit down and write a kick-ass, sophomore album, because this was a little clunker for them, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I remember when we did see them live, they played some songs off of this album. I know they played Rockin' the USA, Bad Reputation. I think we Like It Loud, and I think Double Trouble were the songs that they played off of this album, if I remember correctly. And actually, they put out a live album in the probably early 90s. It came out on CD, and I know those songs were on there. Not a super great produced live album, but it was pretty good. It's not on iTunes or anything, and but it was pretty good, and I was glad to have it. I have it at the house, and I'll have to look it up. And but great band though, and they gotten together a couple times since then and played some shows. They were on, I want to say, the Monsters of Rock cruise maybe 2 years ago, and they did some stuff, which is cool. Paul Sortino's still doing some stuff. He's the singer for King Cobra now, and he's doing shows with them, and he does shows for the like the Rating the Rock Vault, I think it's called, out in Vegas. That they get a bunch of different rock stars and they do like tons of stuff, and he's been part of that, which is cool, which he's still out there. And I heard him, and I think BC picked it as a What Are You Listening To or gem a couple weeks ago. The King Cobra live at Sweden Rocks, and Paul Sortino is the vocalist on there. Still really got the pipes. He still has it, which is amazing. And I think he's a really good front man. And this album just it missed for me. And like I said, I think it sounds like some demos that were just, and you were right, it sounds like it was rushed out. Like, get in the studio, boom, and get the fuck back out there. Right. But I mean, a lot of bands were doing that at the time, but had better sounding albums. So I don't know, what the machinations were here for that. And final words, BB, and we'll wrap this bitch up.
Yeah, after doing a little homework, what I thought, like maybe I probably should have opened up with this, but I kind of forgot about it. Two great past members of this band with Jakey Lee and Greg Goldie. I love to see if there's anything out there with those guys playing, but not to take anything away from Chris and Amir, but that would be awesome to see if there is anything out there with those two guys tearing it up, because they were doing their shit in the early '80s, so love to hear that. But great episode, great conversation. Sometimes it's almost a little bit easier just talking two than four, but loved it. Loved their first album, not so much their second album. And once again, this is turned into Steve Wright's front porch again, 20 years ago. So this is great episode, great topic, great conversation. What did you think, Reddy?
Yeah, I had a great time. It was really good. We had kicked around a couple different ideas of what we knew we were going to record down here, and I won't say what we were going to do, because we're going to do that at another time. And I'm like, well, let's do Rough Cutt, because I knew we were going to do some Rock N Pod wrap up stuff during the episode 2, and I knew Rough Cutt only had 2 albums, and we are in August, so we're doing 80s stuff, which I know I messed it up last week doing the favorite riffs with the guys from Digital, but we're back in the 80s, and we wanted to do something in that decade, and I thought Rough Cutt was a good one. And it's not a band that a lot of podcasts, a lot of people talk about, and they're kind of forgotten about a little bit, except from like nerds like us. But it was nice and refreshing to go back, and especially the first album, listen to that, I'm like, oh man, I really missed listening to this album. I hadn't listened to it in years, and like a couple songs I'd hear here and there, like on a playlist or something like that. But it was nice to delve back into this album, and like I said before, music is, for me, it's a time machine. When you hear certain stuff like this, it puts you right back to where you were when you were listening to stuff like this, whether it be, in your car cruising around with the windows down in the summer, or in your bedroom with your headphones on, or, when you had the Discman, if you had the Discman going, because, I used to work at a grocery store and push carts, and I would make mixtapes for go out and push carts and everything like that. And the Rough Cutt, they were a staple band that I would throw on these mixtapes. And rehashing this album, going back, listening to it, takes me right back there. I really enjoyed these guys, and I think they were a good band. Like I said, the second album, not so much. Rushed. The production wasn't great on it, but just a really good, good band that kind of just 2 albums, 2 and done, which is a shame. But they still do a show every now and then, which is cool. So maybe there'll be a band that maybe will be added to the Monsters of Rock cruise. So I want to thank everybody out there for listening. Thanks again to everybody that stopped by and said hello to us and shot the shit with us at Rock N Pod. We had a great time down here. Great seeing new friends down here. Like I said, like David and Chris from Digital, Stephen and Sonny from Grown Up Rock, Bill Allen and Dennis from Ages of Rock, Matt Porter, Peter Cesaria, one of the newer guys on the block, and the elusive Vinny Folletti from the I Love It Loudcast. Just great seeing those guys and interacting with everybody and just saying hello and shooting the shit. And like BB said before, just like a ton of like-minded people that like the same stuff, just kind of hanging out and shooting the shit, having a great time. I hope everybody has safe travels going home. And a lot of the songs we talked about tonight, the Rough Cutt songs and songs we talked about that the bands we've seen over the weekend did, and some of the artists that we've interviewed. And like I said, those interviews will be out in a couple weeks. We're going to kind of sprinkle them out as special episodes. So look for those. They're coming up. And like I said, those songs, we're going to throw them on our weekly Spotify playlist, which you will be able to find in the link in this show. And we will see you guys. We love you. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you next time. And there will be a next time.
There that is again, that fucking clicking.